Okay, so we are going to be taking a look at 5 different plugins here today. We talked extensively last week about all the different elements that you have to consider. Now we're going to talk about 5 different plugins and see how they potentially work in the context of the things you need to consider. And the 5 different plugins that we're going to talk about are WP eStore, MarketPress, WooCommerce, Shopp, and Cart66. Now, I own all of these plugins, and I've used all of these plugins, and I've worked extensively to understand the features of all of these plugins. And so you'll see what the different options are here as we jump into them. Now, plugins can be sort of grouped together by some general characterization. For example, you can look at the types of content that they manage well. And so plugins that manage digital content really well are WP eStore and WooCommerce and Shopp. All 3 of those have very good digital content management or digital product management systems. You can also compare them by extensibility. And in that case, Shopp and WooCommerce are the ones that have the most robust APIs that you can hook into with custom functions and that you can use to add custom functionality to your e-commerce site. You can also compare them by theme compatibility because these aren't all entirely compatible with, well, in particular with Thesis. They all work with Genesis, but Shopp does not work with Thesis 2, and WooCommerce and WooCommerce and MarketPress don't work with Thesis 185. So you can, think about them in groups like that. You can also think about them in terms of order fulfillment. Right, some of these plugins have very robust order fulfillment systems, and some of them don't. So, for example, Shopp and WooCommerce have very extensive order fulfillment systems, and WP eStore has the ability to, by extensions, have that stuff added. On the other hand, MarketPress and Cart66 have very limited order fulfillment systems. Now, none of those things may be problems, right? Just because a plugin is good at one thing doesn't mean that you actually need that one thing, right? So you may not need extensive order fulfillment. You may not need to be able to extend the plugin with its API. You might be working in Genesis and it just doesn't matter, which of the plugins you're working with. So sometimes those groupings are relevant to you and sometimes they aren't.